Hello there, it's 22nd of April. I hope it's not too much wind. It's a short video about doing some tidying up on some pears, pear pears I grafted a little while ago. Now, I hope it's not too much wind. This is a little bit untidy. This is not an example of what's ideal, but it's what we've actually got. According to the traditions here of telling the story that we actually have to tell, rather than pretending. Anyway, here are some pears that have been grafted, and these ones have succeeded. Not all the ones I grafted have succeeded, but I'm going to go over these and do a bit of aftercare. This one's got some blossom on it. This one's died. There's a double cleft graft I did last year, which failed. I think it's another one did a couple of years earlier, which succeeded. Here's another I did earlier on a bigger stock, and this has got two growing away, and there's a couple of smaller ones here. So I'm just going to hand the camera to Julia. If you can do your best to film me. So I'm just going to tidy these up. They all look a little bit different. Okay, these are all Blakeney Red. Variety Blakeney Red gives a very nice, very clean leaf. It seems to be quite a disease resistant. It's the most popular pear. I don't want to say about pears. I've talked about them before. So if you want to come down here, Julia, you'll see there's this is a saddle graft. I think you've got a bit of picture of it from this side. This is a saddle graft. It's going back so people can see the whole of it. The saddle graft is the graft I use most often for grafting. You pull the camera back out slowly, yeah. I use that most often when you're grafting scion and a stock which are of approximately equal diameters. So this just needs a bit of tidying up. You can see obviously successful. Okay, one of my open or pen knives. Now I usually use a number 6 for this, or maybe a number 8. This happens to be a number 12, which just happens to be the knife I had around. But these have got such fine blades, and I've just put an edge on this recently. So I like to use a knife for this particular job. Rather than the secateurs, because it's just a bit neater. So I'm just carefully snicking out these branches, these little shoots that are coming from the side. Obviously these shoots are coming from below the union, and so we don't want them. These are all the root stock. This is Quince A root stock.
And it's much easier to do these with the knife when they're the fresh new soft growths.
Oh yeah.
Any woody bits are probably easier with a secateur, aren't they?
Yeah. And when to do this, I don't think the timing is absolutely critical. But at the spring basically, round about now. Okay, you see what I've done there? There's a woody branch, there's a woody bit there which should have been removed previous year. That's a little bit thicker, so I'm just going to take that off with the secateurs. Okay, that's that one tied up then. Alright, now let's look at this, which is a bit of a mess. We've got two stalks coming up here. They didn't grow very well. They both look as though they're alive. I'm going to take that one clean out, leaving just one. And we've got what almost looks like aerial roots coming out of the side here.
Possibly it had weeds growing up over it, which kept it damp.
I think that was the problem. Last year was a difficult year for various reasons. I'm not going to make excuses. But anyway, so we don't want this growth. I'm just snipping it out. Perhaps we'll return to these later in the season to show how they've gone. Okay, well.
And it's all blossom buds on it, isn't it? No leaf buds. Are they blossom buds?
I haven't got my spectacles on.
It's very strange, isn't it?
I'm not too worried. Okay, well let's have a look at this one now. This is looking a bit more something like, isn't it?
I guess this is on the wild pear
seedling.
Stock, isn't it?
This is on seedling pear. Away from that time being. Yeah, so what have we got here? We've got two. This was a cleft graft. We don't want two leaders. That one's clean out. Now, if you want to scan back a bit, Julia, film it from take the film a bit further back. The question is whether I'm going to leave this branch in or not. I think I'm not. I think the answer is not.
No, I'd get rid of it now, I think.
Okay. Looks a bit drastic, but
then all the energy will go into that one shoot that you want.
Yeah, so this one should go up tall, and then we'll plant it out in the Perry orchard. Okay, now this one here, a little bit more.
This is grown bushy rather than tall.
Exactly what we're going to do here. Again, this was a
looks like a quince rootstock rather than.
Yes, Quince A. I'm not sure about that because I planted a number of seedling pear rootstocks here, and they were all grown from seeds, so they won't all be the same. Seedling pear rootstock is a bit funny because they're not all exactly identical. But yeah, if we were going to grow this as a dwarf bush, it might be okay like that. But I don't want it as a dwarf bush. I want it to grow taller. So I'm going to take a radical cut. I'm going to take one of these clean out and leave the other. Now I'm not quite sure which is the best one. To avoid confusion, that one needs to go. I'll take that and let me think a bit more clearly. It's always tempting to let that grow as a bush, isn't it? What do you think?
No, because it wouldn't fit with what we're doing.
So we want it to grow one tall upright stroke. This, I think, is the best one.
It's the most upright.
I think that is the most upright.
Piece, isn't it?
So, steel yourself. Oh, that was a bit radical, wasn't it?
Yeah, but those roots are going to power up through that one shoot now.
Yeah, well, we can return to these in a few months. Okay, so what have we got here? Failure. Why that failed, I don't know. It got the same treatment as the others. The only question here whether is to see if there's anything will grow out of this or not. And sometimes with a root that's not like this, if you cut it off low down, it might send a shoot up. I'm not sure it will. It's too thick for a secateurs. I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to leave that alone. Right, now that's probably dead. So here's a messy one. This grows at a bad angle. This needs to be corrected. I'm even wondering actually about digging around this and bringing it up to a better angle. Sometimes you can do that. Dig around here.
Yeah, just to loosen some of the roots.
If you want to film this from the side, so you can see just how bad the angle is. It's just got other jobs that were more important last year. What you could do is dig out like a wedge of earth here. Dig around it. Don't dig deep, but dig around it. Take some earth out, and then pull it up to a better position. In fact, do you know, I'm going to do that. It'll only take a short time. Hang on. Okay. See what I did there? Maybe a bit more.
Yeah, I think you've got to take it a bit more because of the angle that the graft is coming off.
Yeah, it's a bad angle, isn't it?
And even if you could have a stake this side and pull the top growth up to it.
That'll probably do for now. Maybe tidy that up later. Okay, so I've improved the angle quite a lot there. I want one good shoot.
So, obviously the upright one. And where we've got blossom on that, if it sets fruit, we won't let the fruit stay because that will bend down the shoot that we want to grow upright, and it will also take goodness from the plant, and we want it to grow away into a good sized tree.
Okay, so that's quite radical. I'm a great believer in old proverbs, and a stitch in time saves 9 is still a very good proverb. Now, a bit more care in the past might have improved others, but hey, it's not lost. So if you want to come around and film that from the side again, Julia. There's a lot less leaf on that, but the overall shape's better. Now what I probably ought to do is to put in a stake here and just tie this up a little bit like that.
That's what I would do.
That's what I do, put in a stake and pull this up to here.
And over the years that dog leg in the main trunk will even out.
Yeah. Okay, right, almost finished. So here's another. You can probably see what I'm going to do here. Actually, no,
that's the quince leaf, isn't it? Rather than seedling pears, little roundy leaves.
Yeah. Okay, see if you can guess what I'm going to do.
I would probably select the right hand branch and then train that coming this way.
I think that's the most upright one, isn't it? Of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That looks better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to take this out too. Yeah. Looks a bit harsh, but I have a purpose.
But these are to be standard, so we need a nice long straight trunk before we have a break for branches.
Okay, so it would have been better if it had a little more care previously, but it is what it is, as they say. Right, last one here. It's a double. Is that double saddle graft here? No, it's not. It's
branched.
I meant to say it's a double cleft. It's not. It's a saddle, but that's split away. You can see it's not a very healthy one, not a very sturdy one.
And that again's on the quince. The benefit of the quince rootstock is that it has a smaller tree and will start fruiting sooner. But for our poor soil, I think the seedling pear is generally better because it's more vigorous.
This should have been removed last year.
That's the plastic that you wrapped around it when you were grafting.